Thumbnail. Hello, rejects. I'm Greg Alba.
And I'm John.
Never say your last name. We're going to review a film called John... Oh, I get what you're doing.
Yeah.
I just got it.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I forget you guys have the same name.
Got the same name, Jonathan.
We're going to review John Wick 2.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2 today. In this film, I guess, you know what, I'm just going to do that thing that I love doing. I'm going to read the IMDb plot.
Do it.
That's the most efficient way to get the point across to you guys.
Read that log line, baby
Why
cakes.
write my own version of the plot? After returning to the criminal underworld to repay a debt, John Wick discovers that a large bounty has been put on his life. That is essentially the plot of the next John Wick film. Alright, so here's what we'll start off by saying. Everything you've heard from like Rotten Tomatoes example, yeah, the action is like doubled down on this film for sure. There's a lot of action in this film.
This is a bone-crunching, metal-warping, shell-casing fucking action extravaganza.
And I'll guarantee you that it is awesome as fuck. It is some sweet,
it's real cool.
Sweet, kick-ass action. The intensity of the action sequences is still there, for the most part. It's still there.
Everything really looks like it hurts. And they do double down on just the sheer craziness of how fast everyone's punching and the choreography and there's a lot of gun action too. Like, they definitely throw down on stunts, destroying cars, like... There's a lot of top-notch action.
And Keanu Reeves, he kicks ass again in this role.
Totally.
You know, like, halfway through watching this, I was like, I wish he kind of got even at least considered a little bit for an Oscar-worthy role. The reason why is because when you look at these action sequences, I'm like, these take like months to prepare. This is like a dance. You know, Ryan Gosling sings and dances in La La Land, and everyone's like, whoop-a-doo. Fucking DiCaprio climbs inside of a horse naked in the snow, whoop-a-doo, you know? And I'm like,
Keanu Reeves just learns how to, like, tactically take down targets and, like, do martial arts.
He doesn't have much dialogue, and this is his best performance he's ever given, I think. This is his best character he's ever done. Matrix is still my favorite Keanu Reeves movie, but this is my favorite Keanu Reeves character. And this film does introduce some pretty cool characters. You got Common in here as Cassian, is he?
Cassian, yeah.
Cassian? Common. Now, when I saw Common in the trailer, I was kind of worried. Because I've seen Common in the trailer for Terminator Salvation. Nobody remembers what the fuck he does in that movie. And I saw him in Suicide Squad trailer. Then he dies like in his first scene. And here, they actually utilize Common.
Yeah, he got to be a role. He got to be a guy in the Hitman world.
He's that guy. Cool. He's that, you know, the rival. Like he's not exactly a rival of John Wick, but he's, for the most part, rather equal hitman to John Wick.
They have a professional rapport of some kind.
Where they like, oh, I fucking hate you, but I really respect you. It's like that scene in Anchorman when Vince Vaughn kisses Ron Burgundy's head.
Do I respect you?
Yeah, that's pretty much their relationship. Yeah. And they have a great hand-to-hand combat fight scene.
Yeah, all their scenes together are pretty memorable, and that's a nice thing. Especially, they have a great scene where they just talk at a bar.
I feel like the best scenes in this movie are with John Wick and Common.
I would get on board with you for at least a few of those, probably.
That's when I was most interested. Like, every little... like, I don't want to give away, like, everything that goes on in there, but like you said, there's a scene at a bar where they're just talking. That was interesting. Even when, like, he kind of appears at the subway station for a little bit.
I don't know what exactly constitutes this, but there is something about that storyline that does still feel a little personal, because it allows them to sit down and have a personal chat, and it allows them in that scene when they're fighting together to really get personal with, like, this is a display of my skill versus your skill.
Because he has a personal vendetta towards John Wick. That's what makes it for a more personal reason.
Yeah.
Because here you got kind of like multiple storylines going on here. Can't give them all away, but there's a lot of... The poster that they have of this, where like everyone has a shit ton of guns pointed at John Wick, perfect poster. Because everyone's out to get John Wick in this movie.
It's like the first movie, some dude fucks up and brings him back in the game, and he takes care of that situation in a way most people understand. And then this movie is basically everybody else waking up and going, John Wick's back?
Yeah.
And one guy pulls him in, and then from there, just everybody's gun is pointed at John Wick by the end of this. Like, everyone's got beef with John Wick.
And Ruby Rose, who you see in the trailer, she's pretty cool. She plays this character named Eris.
Eris or Aris?
Yeah, she's a deaf girl, and she's like the deaf assassin. And she's awesome in it. I thought she was really fucking cool. And Lawrence Fishburne, He's barely in the film. All you guys know he's in it, but he's barely in the film.
I mean, Lawrence Fishburne I told you this in the car. Like, Lawrence Fishburne shows up to do the thing he shows up for lately, which is like, hey, we're rounding into Act 3. I'm gonna bring some crucial shit to your plot, do a cool character, and then I'm gonna leave again.
And it was cool. It was really cool because he's strictly in it just to go like, we want to see Morpheus and Neo again.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you do get that feeling, like when they're just talking with each other, or just sitting down and talking. It's like I like seeing them talk to each other again, and I like seeing that they have different dynamics. It's not like mentor and the one. There's very different dynamics of why they're speaking to each other.
Well, and even the way like Lawrence Fishburne's character is cool because his role in the movie also helps expand the world, which is part of the fun of John Wick, is seeing all the different ways in which the crime organization spans the globe. And his little operation is really cool, and he's also a very colorful character. And that brought a splash of something, engaging.
And you get a villain who's, just as annoying as the villain in the first one. Annoying in the right way.
Kind of guy, but yeah.
Santino D'Antonio.
And that guy did a pretty good job too.
He does a pretty good job.
He's a punk, but he's an intense punk. Ian McShane is in it too.
And Ian McShane, he gets to do Ian McShane's one of the few returning characters who actually they do expand upon a little bit more. Have him serve even more of a purpose this time around.
Yeah.
Which I was glad they did. So what I would say is this is a great action movie.
It's cool, yeah.
And now that I got that out of the way, I do have some issues with the film.
I do have some issues too.
Overall, I would say, yes, absolutely, go watch this movie. It's a blast. It's incredible action sequences. Keanu Reeves is great. There's a lot of great things in here. So we want to save our issues with the film for the later part of the review. So you guys don't think we hate this movie, because we don't. Because I feel like if we start off with that, people might misconstrue
that tomato meter score and be like, you guys hate the thing everyone else loves. And we're like, no, we don't hate it. We just have some concerns, but concerns just mean you hate something. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool shit in this movie to love if you love John Wick.
And the thing is, like, we want to save it for the end because the issues that stem from having issues is because it is a sequel to John Wick.
It is a sequel to John Wick.
And do you guys remember John Wick, the movie?
Wick.
One thing that, I guess to lead into it, it doesn't feel anywhere near as personal as the first one. And it's hard to. It's hard to top something as personal as the first one. But this really doesn't. I really feel like it wasn't until about 30 to 40 minutes in where I was truly hooked and started feeling for, like, the safety and the concern for John Wick and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's when I started feeling like more hooked into it. But even then, as it proceeded and before that like initial point, the first 20 minutes, a lot of it is just like, remember how great John Wick is? Remember how cool John Wick is? Hey, let's have this guy show up for a little appearance right here and there. They even have like this really cool action sequence in the very beginning, but just think about that for a second. The first movie doesn't have an action sequence till a while into the film.
Yeah, they really build up like the reason for the action before the action even starts. And in this one, they hit you with it immediately.
This one felt like John Wick 2 rock and roll to me. You could just feel some cool shit.
John Wick's gonna say 4 words every 10 minutes and he's gonna kill half the people in Europe.
This film felt more like an action film, which is great because the first one feels like an action film too, but everyone knows what made it so special was it felt like more than that. It felt like a film. It felt like
the first one feels like an action film and this one feels like an action movie.
Yeah, because it's just really entertaining. I don't feel like I left this film as wowed or as impressed because A, the personal flair is not there. And one thing I really noticed was the way the film was just shot in general. Like the style, the lighting, the tone. It felt like a rock action film. Yeah. And it didn't have like that cool, serious with an underlying humor touch. Like you put it best in the car. You were saying like the first one had this other world that was still down to earth. I felt like the first one had like this secret world that you could see living in secrecy in our reality.
Yeah.
This one felt like there was a hidden world that I don't see possible in the real world, you know?
See, I'm looking for a term to refer to that as, because it's something that, like, some Tarantino films have, and certain of these kinds of action films have, where they do have a heightened style and a definite visual look, and yet somehow they convince you that this is believable without you having to go, well, it's a movie. And in this one, there's a lot more stuff of like, oh, it's a movie, so they're taking advantage. And it's like with the plot, I think the plot itself, moving forward out of the first John Wick, makes sense. Yeah. Like, the calls that they make, yeah, I can see those, and I think it's a good enough story for John Wick to go in. But it does seem like this is an inconvenience to his life, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, because it's just like John Wick's killing like significant amount more people, primarily just because he got dicked over by someone.
Yeah, he's like, I have to
by
do
a
this.
dude dicked him over, and now he has to just survive.
This is
Whereas
a mission
the first
he doesn't
one,
wanna
when
go
he's
on.
killing everyone, you could feel it. You're like, yeah, fucking kill him, John. Yeah. But in this one, it's like, well, he has to stay alive. You know?
Yeah, he's gonna stay alive.
And then I'm kind of like, well, what does he feel like he has to live? I started getting to that point in the movie where I'm like, what do you have to live for exactly?
Yeah,
I don't
this
get
is gonna be
what
it
your
forever.
motivation is to stay alive right now.
Yeah, and that careens into certain other things that happen later in the film that we won't get into. I'm wondering how this will play for me on the second time around, because like maybe if I go in again and I'm just here to have fun, I might feel differently, because it is, you know, we only saw this a couple hours ago, so you know, feelings might change. There is something to me that did feel like it was missing a little bit, like it was missing a 10% of something to hook me, because I never found that it had like a rhythm. I thought some of the editing was a little more choppy. It's like it had everything that I like.
It honestly felt a little lighter. Like the first one felt dark, like an emotional dark tale of this hitman. This, yes, has humor in it, but is an emotional dark tale of this hitman on revenge. This one had more of I keep saying rock and roll because that's the only thing I can refer to here.
Well, yeah, there's a part in the middle where it becomes like a techno music video. Yeah. And it's just like there are things where like every scene in the first movie felt like it was necessary, and I got why we were peering in on this moment as opposed to any other, and why it was this character and whatnot. And this movie, at least on first go, just wasn't as tight as that, because it's more logistical. It's a more political situation. It's just, who wants to kill me? Where do I have to go? Okay, let me get some guns first.
What it's missing really is, okay, when I say style and tone, if you watch this movie, even just watching the trailer, I was kind of worried about it. The lighting of it. And I feel like the issue comes down to with the lighting with it not being as cool or as visually striking. That's what I mean. Like, I didn't feel this film was, like, the action sequences are fucking awesome. The catacombs fight scene that you see in the trailer is one of the best gun action sequences I've ever seen. There's some brilliant choreographed action, but in terms of style of the way it's captured, I can't really define that for you in this film.
John Wick Chapter 2, at least as we were watching it, had everything I like about John Wick. It had the cool stunts and action. It had gunfights and fistfights. It had a badass Keanu Reeves. It had interesting characters. We got to see the crime underworld, and we got to expand on it in this one. And the thing is, I think something does come out of it when you look at the cinematography, because the first movie, I remember feeling like really no shot is wasted here, and in this movie I felt like, well, this is just one way to capture it, but they could have captured, like, their framing isn't as crazy and isn't as like composed this time around. There's a lot more just like, oh, we're gonna get some coverage of this.
I think it's because too they had the issue of he's in New York and that he's in Rome for a lot of it, that he's back in New York, and I felt like the lighting and the feel of the darkness of New York played such a significant part to the first one.
The cinematography of the first film accentuates everything that's happening on it, and the cinematography of the second one just kind of shows you.
Yeah,
it doesn't
that's a great way to
really
put it.
Help accentuate anything. It's just kind of there.
Because I feel that in John Wick 1, when there's no action sequences, I thought it was captivating.
Yeah,
I thought it was awesome. Here, I'm like, I only thought it was really awesome when there was action sequences going on. Like, even when they're doing, like, Roman Continental, and they have, like, a couple of new... Like, they just show you the Roman side of what the Continental is. And it's not exactly 100% all that different. When they do have that scene they show in the trailer where he's, like, shopping for guns. That was a cool scene.
The subtleties are what make this movie the most interesting, because we know they can do cool action, and I guess I wish there were more subtleties like that. And some more finesse. Like, I feel like this movie could have used some finesse, because I feel like everything really works together as a whole in the first movie. In this one, like, a lot of stuff works, but some stuff doesn't. The music, too. There was something I noticed about the music, where I feel like they kind of ducked out the music every time there was a fight scene, and they punched up the music every time there was a talk scene, as if they wanted it to feel a little more rhythmic than it actually was.
This felt like John Wick full throttle.
Exactly.
Which I guess in its own way is cool. But bringing it back to good stuff, I like the way it ended. Sure, it ends in a way where, okay, we have to get a sequel now. That it does end in, oh, come on. You know you got to get a sequel with that ending.
I'm just a little worried.
You know they're ending it that way so we can get a sequel.
Yeah.
But I like the way how it ends on a totally different note than how the first one ended. I'm not gonna get you like that doesn't give shit away. But it ends in a way where I'm like, that's kind of a bold move for an ending.
Yeah, you're gonna go big.
Yeah, like you're going down a dark rabbit hole here with this ending. But I give you major kudos for doing that. And in the finale, there was a definite like my big issue with this was I wasn't like as captivated by the plot or the emotional stakes. But the finale definitely had a plot moment where I was like, I think everyone in the theater
went, oh shit.
Yeah. Like it was the first real plot moment where you're like, oh, now I get the whole reason for this movie existing. You know?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
I get it, but why?
I definitely wouldn't say don't watch it. Like
please, yeah, definitely
I would say go watch it. Like the action scenes make it totally rewarding.
Because also, at least as of right now, just from some of the other response, I feel like this reaction is maybe a little bit in the minority. So I am again curious to go see it again, and maybe just there's a rhythm I missed, or maybe somebody can explain it to me in a way where I'll see something different about it.
I basically feel as a standalone film, it's really damn good. When you compare it to the first John Wick, it just feels like there's a good amount of things truly missing at its soul.
Yeah, the first John Wick is like terrific, and this is really like this movie had that thing for me where I kept on expecting like the next scene is gonna get awesome.
Yeah,
and it's still like really cool most of the time, but only a couple times did it ever cross over into fucking that's John Wick for me. So I guess that's where
if we had a rating system, I would say this film is really good.
Really good, yeah, it's good.
I'd say really
I'll
good.
go with good.
Really, I'll go with really good.
I'm feeling good right now, and I want to be feeling like a really good or a... I'll go with pretty good.
Because I thought, because this film is really about its action, and I thought the action was phenomenal, and I was, really hooked by when the action scenes were going on.
Okay.
It wasn't like watching a Transformers movie.
I'd say it's
like,
good,
this is crazy, yet I'm bored. I didn't feel that when I was watching this movie. I was like, this is some cool shit right here. All right, guys, you can subscribe to The Real Rejects. John is Reeves to Jerry on Twitter and Instagram as a social media manager of Bloomhouse and The Real Rejects. And shout out to Common.
Hi, Common.
I'm glad they're actually writing a real role for you now. I mean, it's Black History Month.
Yeah.
So I gotta shout out to
Women
Common.
in Horror Month, too.
Get Out.
Crime is a horrible thing.
I think black people are rocking it this month.